Beautiful souls, beautiful tribe. I hope you're having a great day today. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. And it is time to vibe with the tribe and feed that there prediction addiction, baby. Oh, yeah. So once again, so much is happening in the world as we see these intense energies flowing in, just becoming more and more intense. And I know you're feeling it in many different factors of these energies flowing in. And friends, it's all about to become even more intense, stepping us in to the most intense and significant period of 2024 thus far. A time where we are going to witness major things and major events that are about to happen. And I know you feel that too. I know that you feel that something huge is upon us all. And it is multiple huge events, to say the least, all taking us into the year 2025. A time that many people believe is a time of tribulation in accordance to the Holy Bible and the book of Revelation. What do you think? Do you think we're in tribulation already? Some say it began on October 9th. Some say we're far away from such an event. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more deeply on that today. And in past predictions, we discussed the fall of many leaders and many power heads. And so far, especially since the whole P. Diddy thing, oddly enough, we have witnessed so many CEOs stepping down. CEO of Starbucks, the CEO of Nike, and I can't remember who else, but a lot of them, a whole bunch of them, a Google CEO, all stepping down. At the same time, over the past week, we witnessed Israel taking out the head leader of Hamas, as we still sit back waiting for the retaliation of Israel on Iran. Is Israel going to retaliate on Iran? Well, I'm sure without a doubt they are going to. And more importantly, could this craziness go nuclear? Could it go nuclear? Could this bring my visions and past visions of the sign for radiation and a separate sign for nuclear fallout into fruition? And what could Spirit showing me those signs actually mean? I got some more details on that today, and I strongly feel that this is very likely going to be the case with radiation, nuclear, and concerns revolved around that. Again, I will discuss that with you all today. Speaking of world conflicts, we're not really hearing anything more than, well, at least in the United States, we hear Israel, Hamas, Iran. While the whole European conflict seems to be going quiet in the mass media, even though here in the United States, another $400 million was sent to the UKR. So what is to come with the conflict in Europe? And why do I feel like December is going to be extremely explosive? Not only for the world, but especially for the conflict in Europe and other countries ending up getting involved. So y'all will also clearly recall my past predictions around power outages, entire grids going down just over the past week. We actually witnessed this prediction, or at least the folks in Cuba witnessed this prediction come into fruition when their entire grid went down and the whole country of Cuba went dark. Not just once, friends, but twice. Maybe even a third time could hit. And yes, their grid is already extremely fragile, but what about the rest of the world? Some folks are claiming that there's this coming 3-day outage that's coming just over the next couple weeks. I don't know where they got that information from, but could it be true? What did the Spirit say about that? And what you all need to know in order to prepare today, we will discuss. So are you also aware that just recently there was snow in South Africa, right? Did you know it snowed in Africa? And it's not an unlikely event. It does snow in South Africa. They do get snow there. But they don't witness snow or such a wintry mix this early in the season. And according to one of the comments from one of the subscribers and tribe members, this is a bit shocking. This doesn't happen. They even had 2 people pass away from hypothermia, stuck on the roads from the snow and from the wintry mix, even though it's not winter yet. We're only in the fall months, the autumn months. So is this a sign for what's ahead in the coming winter months? And what about the southern months in the southern hemisphere? I assure you, friends, that this coming season is going to be a huge record breaker, especially in the way of snow, ice, and terrible winter weather here in the northern hemisphere, topped off with extreme heat and fires in the southern hemisphere, along with floods and other stuff happening in the southern hemisphere that's in specific predictions today. And not to mention the big volcanic blast that I feel is on the doorsteps of America, United States of America, that is. And what will that signify? So many wild and crazy events happening globally, friends, including the recent alleged UFO crash in Washington, D.C. Was it real? Was it a simulation? Was it a test of some sort? And what happened to Liam Payne? Did he jump, the singer or group member of One Direction? We're going to talk about that today and tell you exactly what really did happen in that room that they'll never report to you. So we are in some dire times, friends, and everything is about to change on a very huge scale. Huge scale, friends. And we all need to be prepared for what's coming. And I'm going to cover all this today, along with a whole bunch of new predictions revolved around the borders, country borders, not any specific borders, nightclubs, conflicts, weather, and a whole lot more, friends. On this episode number 139 of Tuesday's Predictions Update. And y'all know what time it is.
It's Teatime, baby.
Beautiful souls, beautiful tribe. Once again, I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. I welcome you with open arms and big old air hugs, friends. And if you want accurate truth, predictions, and prophecy, and you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, be sure to smash that there subscribe, followed by the bell and all, so that you hopefully get notifications. And though you can always catch me Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, depending on where in the world you happen to reside. If you don't see me, go directly to the channel and check. For some reason, people strangely get unsubscribed to this channel. They just disappear. And then you have to come back and resubscribe because it doesn't show up in your feed. Doesn't show up in your notifications. And I want to thank all the members of the tribe and all the members of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community who make this content possible for everybody else. Your love and support means the world to me, and I thank you. With infinite love and gratitude, friends. Down below, you'll find the description to all the social media, including the platforms for Spotify, Rumble, the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community, along with the newsletter. Sign up, open that newsletter, sign up. It's free at the beginning of every month. You'll get the numerology, astrology, and any content that you may have missed. Sometimes special offers. The holidays are coming up. Great time to buy gift certificates. I can talk. And if you're interested in private sessions or anything related to that, go directly to the website, spiritmanjt.com or Joseph Tittel, Tittel.com. Lots to talk about today, so let us move on to episode number 139.
Tittle tea time, baby.
Our beautiful planet and this world is reaching that dire point in time. A dire point in time where things are about to change. And they're about to change on major scales. And I know you all feel it because the energies that are coming in have been beyond intense. With solar flares, geomagnetic storms, and ascension codes that are lifting us up to those next levels of consciousness. In turn, you're certainly feeling these energies, friends. I know you are. And it's affecting everybody on different levels. For some folks, it's a reminder from the universe to up to par your immune system and to be more mindful of germs and getting sick. This is why you'll notice so many people are dealing with bugs or health stuff lately. That'll be even more so the case when we get into the month of December. In that retrograde energy shift cycle, it actually starts the end of November, so that's going to be interesting to say the least. Now you may also notice that your vision is increasing in a way that allows you to see through the darkness, see through these veils of darkness, to see through people's lies, to begin to realize what no longer serves your highest good, whether it be a relationship, a friendship, maybe your career path. This time that we're in right now is a time of reflection and making strong life decisions, life-changing decisions, while stepping back into your power and calling your power back at the same time. I did a meditation on that a while back called Calling Your Power Back. You should check that out. It's very powerful. Do it every day. And so you feel completely empowered again. Some people, it works faster than others. Dedicate yourself to it. I guarantee it will shift and change everything in your life personally. So Spirit says to expect there to be more of this energy in the coming weeks and more activity coming from the sun, strange activity in the skies, and to prepare for something much more significant hitting in the year 2025. So we also must always keep in mind that no matter what happens, both the tragic and the not so tragic events are all coming into play right now on the planet to awaken the masses. To awaken the masses in amazing new levels of consciousness. It's all part of the process. And nobody ever guaranteed it was going to be easy. So in less than a decade, absolutely everything is going to be different. The way we eat, the way we process our foods, and more importantly, the way we get along with each other. For as of now, all we see is constant division. We see constant division and pulling apart. But in the future, we're all united. I know it might not look very plausible right now, but trust me, it's coming. It's going to happen. We all become united. And it's just this whole big bumpy road and all these big giant potholes that we need to cautiously navigate through over the next few years. So there are several things that we can all do to prepare ourselves for these rides and ride these waves that are coming in like pro surfers. We first must stay connected. Some must get connected back to Earth, for all of us really. But some of us are. I go out and connect with Earth on a daily basis. Some people don't do that at all, especially the folks in the cities. They're not connected to nature. That was one of the biggest warnings from the Hopi people going back generations, that people must stay connected to the earth or they would begin to lose their minds. They would begin to walk around the cities like zombies. We see that happening. Exactly what the Hopi said hundreds of years ago is all falling into place. So get out, connect with nature, and, talk with nature. Because all the answers that you seek and that we all seek, they all lie right there within nature, within the forests, and the waters. So get out, friends, connect with nature, connect with the elementals, connect with the elemental spirits. And secondly, as our personal spiritual journey and our spirituality, of course, it is extremely important to learn things like meditation, to stay grounded. Again, get out, connect with nature helps us ground. Meditations, there's grounding meditations. And most importantly, connect to your own inner wisdom. Because it all lies right within, friends. Right there in the center of the brain in the pineal gland. That's why you see the big statues. It looks just like a pine cone, that there pineal gland in the center of your brain. Outside the Vatican, big statues of pine cones. The Pope carries a staff with a pine cone. The Bible says we were created in the image of the divine, and therefore all divine beings ourselves. Remember this. Because connecting with our own inner wisdom is also connected to us building a relationship with our spirit guides and our spirit allies, which come from the animal, plant, and insect kingdoms in the spirit realms. So make it a point to connect with them. Build a relationship with them. Believe me, you'll be glad you did. And students that take my master class and follow through with it are glad they did too. So along with building a more positive relationship with yourself, with your body, know your limitations, set your boundaries. That's a big one. Setting boundaries is a big one. And know your body. And most importantly, be kind to your body, friends. Be kind to your body. Your body will be kind to you. Like they say, you are what you eat. Big part of that is very, very true. You are what you drink as well. So whether it is being more mindful of what you eat, whether it's walking or exercising a little more, maybe doing some yoga and so on, The more connected we are to the body, mind, and spirit, the less likelihood of having to deal with getting sick or something more serious like a disease or other ailment that you can't kick. So remember, it's not being selfish to actually take care of yourself. Body, mind, and spirit. See, we're all programmed to say, oh, it's selfish, it's selfish. We all know very clearly what selfish people are. So therefore, don't let that corrupted system that tells you that it's selfish to do things for yourself. We know the difference between selfish. You're being selfish by neglecting yourself more than anything. You come first. Like parents will say, my parents said, my kids come first. Well, what good are you to your kids? What good is that to your kids if you're not around? You come first. Kids come second. Otherwise, you're also programming your kids to grow up and put everybody else first. And that's what we do. We put taxes first, government first, everybody else first. So what you need to do is put yourself first. Because in the long run, when it comes down to it, the only one that's going to take care of you in the end is yourself. Remember that. And it's not selfish. So today, we have the sun entering into the sign of Scorpio. Hence, Scorpio season now begins. And this is going to shift our focus into deep transformation, emotional healing, and spiritual evolution. The Scorpio season is all about going to face our fears. As much as you may not want to. But it is all about facing your fears in this Scorpio season that we're stepping into. So face your fears. Confront your shadow selves. And embrace this process of rebirth that is upon us on our doorsteps. This is a time for shedding old skins and stepping into more empowered, authentic versions of yourself. The intensity of Scorpio's energy, that brings along with it this focus on the unseen. You know, the mystical, the paranormal, and the psychological. So this is a time to explore your inner depths, to hold on, to heal, definitely you don't want to hold old wounds, but you want to heal old wounds. And also reclaim your own personal power. Remember, I've been saying this to you all year since the beginning of the year. Step into your power. Call your power back. Power to the people. But it's not power to the people if the people don't have their power. And that's an energy thing. And you can call it back through meditation, focus, positive affirmations, and so much more. This is all about this time that we're in. And it's a mystical time. And we're heading into Halloween, the most mystical time of the year of all times. October 31st to November 2nd, Day of the Dead. With the Scorpio energy coming in and all that, and that whole season, the veil between our world and the spirit world is being very thin. What a perfect time to connect with your ancestors. What a perfect time to connect with loved ones. So this is also a time for us to explore the inner depths, again, heal old wounds, to reclaim your personal power. And remember to trust in this process of transformation, knowing that whatever it is that you release during this season of Scorpio is going to make way for profound growth and renewal in your future. And also, again, take advantage of the veil between the worlds getting thin. Take some time to meditate. Connect with your ancestors. Connect with your deceased loved ones. Even your deceased pets. Which brings me on to actually a subject and a story that I want to share with you today that I thought was really awesome. My dear friend Susie passed away earlier this month. And, our husband Bill's, back and forth. And long story short, I've been taking care of the cat when he's away. And they always have music playing in the house. Always. Which is a good thing. You should always have something playing in your house. I even put on the flute music when I leave. Well, it's actually usually on when I'm home. So today I went up to feed the cat. I opened up the door, went in. And she was very much there. Susie was so there. It was crazy. So I started talking to her. I'm like, hey, Susie. And back in the day, when Susie was here, I used to call her all the time. I used to sing the song, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q, I love you, Susie Q. So I'm in there having this conversation with Susie feeding the cat. And I say, show me a sign. Literally 30 seconds later, that song came on the radio. Susie Q. So I literally closed my eyes. I was dancing in the spirit with Susie. It was quite amazing. That song came to an end. And then the song Susan, I Love You. I never heard the song before, but I was listening to words. I'm like, that's interesting. 2 Susie songs in a row. An obvious sign from my dear friend in the spirit world. Music is a way they get to us. Songs. But it's really simply the thought of a loved one that pops up in your mind out of the blue. Then you get the goosey bumps. The hair stands up on your neck. That is a sign that they're right there with you at that moment in time. Like when I was feeding the cat this morning. And that's when I said, hey, I know you're here. How you doing? I miss you, blah, blah, blah. Now show me a sign that I'm not making this up in my brain. Even though I know I'm not. But instantly that song came on. And that would be her, of all things to do, would be to play that song. Because I would always call her up and sing that to her to cheer her up when she needed cheering up. Even when she didn't need cheering up. So I tell you this because this is a great time for all of us to connect with spirit. That veil that's thinning out is going to continue to stay thin, giving us this deeper connection to the divine and a deeper connection to our ancestors and loved ones who are on the other side pushing us forward. They want nothing but happiness and success for all of us. Abundance, joy, and happiness. They're not mad at you. They're not upset with you. They don't judge you like maybe your neighbors or friends do, and they're not your friends if they judge you, by the way. They don't have that in the heavens. All they have is goodness, love, pure love. And they're behind you with a giant hand pushing you forward in this life. Always know that. Stay connected. And every day, honor your guardian angels simply by acknowledging that they exist. You don't need to know who they are because you don't know them from this lifetime anyway. Acknowledging their existence, following your first instinct, and talking to your loved ones in spirit will all pay off, I assure you. Let us move on to our next subject, or first big subject of today. Let us discuss the fall of leaders and the global conflicts that are happening right now, unfortunately. In past predictions, we discussed the fall of many leaders, the fall of many power heads. Over the past week, we just witnessed Israel taking out the head leader of Hamas. As we continue to sit back awaiting for Israel's retaliation on Iran. So is there going to be a retaliation? And could this craziness actually go nuclear? Or at least bring about my past prediction? My past prediction and visions of seeing the signs for nuclear fallout, the yellow one. And then a red sign, I think it was red or orange sign that said radiation. Unfortunately, I feel very strongly that this is likely going to be the case, friends. Very likely going to be the case. In my past predictions and visions, you'll recall Spirit showing me those signs. But what exactly do they mean? You know, they were just visions of signs. Although I did see a big explosion outside of Tel Aviv in the future. Not that that's related to those signs, but Spirit likes to show us things in symbolism. And very often, kind of like prophecy or Bible prophecy or even Nostradamus prophecy. We have to interpret what Spirit shows us. Not always what they're showing us is exactly what Spirit's trying to say. I know that just from seeing thousands of clients over decades. It's quite funny. And spirits do have a sense of humor too, by the way. A lot of them, not all of them. Some of them can be a little boring. Sorry, guys. Some. Not you guys, but... So is there going to be retaliation? Of course. And unfortunately, I feel that there's going to be panic. I feel a panic in a small area, and I likely feel like I'm either in Russia or Ukraine, where people are running, and I see people running in this vision into fallout shelters. And I don't know why they have fallout shelters. I don't know if they have fallout shelters in Ukraine. I'm sure they do for the leaders. Whereas in Russia, they have them for almost all their citizens. All their towns have fallout shelters. Once upon a time, United States did in all the schools and all. I remember even in my high school, I remember the fallout shelter that you couldn't even go into because it was packed with stuff. They used it for storage or something. What good is that going to be if you need to go into the fallout shelter? And most of them, they don't even use them anymore. They're all shut down or converted into something different. But over there in Russia, I know they have them. So in this vision where I saw, and it looked like a small area, like a small kind of outskirts, kind of suburban area where I heard, like, I would assume there was a siren. I didn't hear it, but I would assume because people were just running from their house to these shelters. And that's what I saw in the vision. Now, this could also bring Iran into the picture as well. So I don't know what they got over there in Iran, but I'm sure they probably have them too. I don't know if they have them for their citizens. But in my vision, I saw citizens running into it. So that should help us narrow down the area, I would think. Now, I take the two signs perhaps as being two separate events, not necessarily connected to each other. Even though we could connect the radiation sign and we could connect them together. But I saw them separately. And if Spirit was going to say it was just one thing, I would have just saw one sign. So I take it as including one event that involves a radiation leak of some sort, or even a small, dirty explosive being used. Because in past visions, I saw radiation burns and radiation poisoning. And I have no doubt that Israel is going to hit Iran very hard. And one of those hits will be on some type of a nuclear plant or even a nuclear power plant or whatever that's going to bring disaster to the region. And according to Spirit, if Israel does retaliate in such a way, this is no doubt going to bring in my other past prediction of seeing a small explosive that looked like it was being carried in a briefcase being triggered somewhere outside or near Tel Aviv. This, I believe, is where Spirit shows the sign for radiation. I believe the radiation sign has to do with actually Israel, but it could be both of them. Retaliation and making it happen for them, it's likely both. There's going to be a problem. But I also felt that there was going to be this area in the future that's kind of like Chernobyl, where you're not going to be able to go near it. It's going to be closed off. It could be a modern day Chernobyl, actually. Not only that, Spirit's separately showing me a vision that reminds me of Fukushima. So I would say that there's going to be a weather event, even though I just went totally off subject. But Spirit does that. Spirit shows me something. I got to go and put it out to you or I'll forget. I'll totally forget, like I almost just totally forgot. So I see a Fukushima type of an event happening. So I'm going to say there's going to be a weather-like event that's going to have some type of a negative effect on a nuclear power plant. They shouldn't be putting nuclear power plants along the coast to begin with. But I know they do because they need the water and I know the whole process, but it's still not good. They need to find a new way of like saving nuclear meltdowns. And they will. Spirit said they will. But that's still many years into the future. So let us hold in the light, all of us together, friends, let us hold in the light that this doesn't happen. Let us hold in the light that people work out their problems and work out the peace. And let us focus on peace prevailing so that they work this darn mess out, because it's quite a mess. Although, unfortunately, it's very unlikely from both sides, because both sides are filled with so much hatred towards one another. And it just adds to the division on the planet Earth. So as far as the nuclear fallout event, I feel more and more concerned, or worried, concerned, I'll say concerned, than we need to be. That's kind of the overwhelming feeling. Like, I got this feeling that people were way worried and concerned more than they needed to be. So I felt something will hopefully prevent this full nuclear fallout situation and the sign related to that. So again, let us hold in the light that peace does prevail, and not only in the Middle East, but in Europe as well. So I had the vision of the people running to fallout shelters. That was this morning, because I was asking Spirit more about information about the sign. Fortunately, I did not see a nuclear explosion. So I think it was more of a threat than anything. And let's just hope it just stays that way. Because I felt more worried and concerned than I needed to be. Like, we're running and doing this, but really we don't need to. That was my vibe. So speaking of world conflicts, we're not really hearing much more than Israel, Hamas, and Iran. That's all you're hearing on the national fake media here in the United States anyway. While the European conflict seems to be going quiet in the mass media, even though the United States just sent another $400 million to the Ukraine. While we see all these Americans in the face of a major disaster receive $700, and others didn't receive anything at all. So still, now if they would have split that $400 million up to all those people from the storm, I bet you it would pay, and there'd be money left over afterwards. That stuff drives me crazy, friends. It drives me crazy. It really is bothersome. So we can fund, conflicts in the government, but they can't take care of our own people. And in spirit shows, again, it's only about power, money, and complete control. Moving on, I feel very strongly that NATO is fixing a plan to intrude Russian territory and posing a huge threat to a nuclear facility or power plant in Russia, in which they plan to attack from the inside. So they must have a sleeper cell or something inside of Russia already, I would imagine. This could also be where concerns of the radiation comes in and the radiation sign. Whether it be in Russia or whether it be Ukraine, whether it be Iran or whether it be all three. Soon we're going to witness huge concerns around radiation and a radiation cloud. Spirit shows me a radiation cloud. I don't see the explosion. I'm not saying there's not going to be one. I'm just saying I just see the radiation cloud. And nuclear realities between now and January. We're going to have huge concerns around radiation and nuclear realities between now and January. I strongly feel that December is going to be explosive, friends. And I do mean boom, baby. Explosive. Not only in the world, but especially for the conflict over in Europe and many countries being pulled into it. For the longest time, I have warned Poland. I warned Poland that they would get pulled into this conflict. And I feel multiple countries are being pulled into conflict by NATO forces. NATO literally, and as far as me and the spirits are concerned, is literally the United Nations army of evil. And the ones that Spirit says that we really need to watch the closest. Spirit said, watch NATO the closest. As NATO poses a bigger risk to the world conflict than anyone, according to Spirit. Not me, according to Spirit. I might be wrong, but Spirit always seems to be right on. So only due to making some very less than smart military moves in the near future. NATO, that's what Spirit said. They're going to be more of a concern and pose a bigger risk due to making very less than smart military moves in the near future. Lovely. It only gets better here, friends. This brings me to North Korea and South Korea and China, who are the other ones posing a huge threat to global conflict. I see North Korea causing more serious issues for South Korea in the near future. Literally as if North Korea is purposely poking South Korea in to bring about a widespread conflict. Spirit shows me that China is behind North Korea, pushing Kim Jong-un into making less than smart decisions for his country. He's listening to China and believing them when China is really deceptive and really just wants to come in and take North Korea in the future. Interesting enough. Decisions that will eventually, in North Korea, Kim Jong-un, decisions that are eventually going to bring the North Korean regime completely down in the next decade or less. So bye-bye, Kim Jong-un. You're on your way out. A lot of them are on their way out, friends. A lot of them. Next year, 2025, is the 9 vibration universally on the planet Earth in numerology. Endings, death of cycles, letting go of, and death. Hopefully, it'll be the death of the cycles of conflict. But the 9 vibration could also bring about great conflict. Humanitarian efforts, which was in past predictions for a major earthquake that hits both sides of the Pacific, that could even still come. Well, of course it's coming, but I mean before the year ends. So I stated in the past that China has made a plan of attack, and this plan includes hitting several countries, invading several areas at one time, starting with Taiwan, which China may invade in the month of December before the year comes to a close. And I feel that North Korea is in on this plan with China, likely Russia and Iran as well. So therefore, it may not just be China triggering multiple invasions solo on their own. It's more like them working with the others, and they would do so with the help from North Korea, Iran, posing multiple attacks, all countries attacking at the same time. North Korea, say, hitting South Korea, while China invades Taiwan. Iran does some kind of invasion on United States, not Israel, but United States, all at the same time. Remember past visions and channel predictions, which I got to do another one of those channeling sessions soon. I will. I'll do that over the next week and have that out by the end or the beginning of the new month. It's overdue. But I was traveling, had lots of stuff to do. But that would be the likely scenario by past visions. Remember, I saw multiple explosions or multiple events happening in multiple cities across the globe at once. United States being one of them. So we will see. It'll be interesting to see what the 2025 predictions hold. Speaking of which, sign up for my newsletter down below, because I always do a special private event for predictions. I'll be doing that within the first or second week of December. I have a date. I just don't remember what date. I'm going to tell you right now. I believe it'll be right around. It may either be Sunday the 8th or Sunday the 15th of December. And you'll be able to sign up for that private event. It'll be out in the November newsletter. And it's limited to a certain amount of people. And all the people that are on my platform of supporters on Subscribestar that are already signed up, not those that run on and sign up, but those that have already been signed up this year are already get to be a part of that event. Others, it's a donation requirement. And that'll be in my newsletter, so keep an eye out for that. So I also feel very strongly that China has its eyes on Alaska, and for multiple reasons. I feel China already has some type of secret military installations and weapons hidden around Alaska, most of them being underwater. And I don't necessarily feel that they're going to attack Alaska, at least not yet. Spirit says it would be a huge mistake if they did. And they would not succeed in that part of their sinister plan. And speaking of how sinister China is, y'all very much are aware and familiar with the term 15-minute cities. We talk about it much, and you are all aware of the WEF and the United Nations goal of locking us into these 15-minute cities that are really future prison cities. Making it look good for folks. Make it look good. Oh, it's easier. You don't have to drive. It's cost effective. Blah, blah, blah. It's good for the environment and the climate. Not telling us that once you're locked into one, you're likely at one point you're never going to get back out. You'll be locked down as a prisoner. And that's already happening. So here's a clip from China and what they are currently doing in their 15-minute cities. And not just in their 15-minute cities that are already happening, but throughout China. And keep in mind that this is what they want for all of us, not just China. Remember, people like Klaus Schwab says that China is the inspiration for the world. That speaks highly for what their plan is, a prison planet. Check this clip out.
First thing we see here is an array of cameras that listen to you and watch you. These are the facial recognition system. Now, cities are starting to be set up where they have points of entry for regions within cities. And you have to use your iPhone device to beep your way in. And the pad on the top there shows your face. It's facial recognition. So it opens the doors and things like that for you if it matches your face or if you don't have any problems. But if you are wanted by the police or something, these will lock you in so you can't move from region to region. Or if you use too much carbon, as you can see, this woman takes off her glasses, and that little device that looks like an iPhone, but it's actually a retina scanner or a facial scanner, picks up your face and then it will let you through. And then here's an example of how that works. You're at the gate here, it scans his face, and then there you go, it opens the gate. Now, within the cities, they're blocked off by region, and these fences right here separate those areas. There's police, as you can see in front, that monitor and guard these areas between points. So if I'm over here where this guy is like region 1, region 2 is over here, right? But I have to go through a checkpoint. Now, of course, the police officers have these glasses that are facial recognition glasses. So it'll read license plates, and when you see somebody right here, it'll recognize the face and pull up their information. And so a cop can just sit there and look at a population and determine if they're good, bad, have warrants against the government, blah, 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 just like this officer's doing. Now, of course, this is where a camera can identify you by your gait or by the way you walk. This determines how a person walks, and they can set up a profile based on the way you move and walk with your facial recognition, meaning you can be watched at all points. So this guy right here, I'll spare you the details, but basically what it is he's reading this, and he can't travel on high-speed rail because his credit score, his social credit score is so low. So what he had to do is volunteer and do a bunch of other to raise his social credit score. So he was going to take a trip that would take 3 hours on a high-speed rail, but because his social credit score was too low, he had to take a bus, which took 10 hours. But then coming up here, he donated and did charity work, and now he says at the end he can live like a real person. And then here's footage of the grocery store in Canada. They've put these cameras, these facial recognition cameras, in the grocery store to determine what you're buying and if it's good for the environment or not, as far as I can tell.
Friends, that is simply crazy and very much, you'll agree, very communistic to say the least. The WEF, the UN, already have applied to put these prison cities, 15-minute prison cities all over the globe. In some places, we see they will do absolutely anything and everything to grab that land so that they can build these global prison camps. Take a look at Lahaina and what happened there. For example, big, easy example. They applied to put that smart city there way before the whole big tragedy happened that we know was purposely orchestrated. Not only that, they're going to try, it doesn't matter where you live. It just doesn't matter. They're going to try this no matter where you live. It doesn't matter. So we have to band together. More importantly, we have to band together, step into our power, and resist these 15-minute prison camp cities and the whole social credit score system that they use in China that they will try to implement in your country, no matter where you are in the near future. Don't allow it. It's only when we band together. It's only when we all say, no, not happening. It's the only way to stop this from happening. The problem is people are too controlled and suppressed and don't want to get up and step into their power. Whether they're afraid to, or whatever the case may be, or they just don't want to. And when it comes down to it, in the end, you're going to wish you did. And we're all going to be forced to come together eventually anyway. So let's start doing it now. Come together with people around your area, come together with your friends, and make sure, again, you always have a plan, no matter what. Whether there's a weather event that hits your area, whether you have to leave quickly, always have a plan, friends. And let us move on to the next topic. So is tribulation upon us? The time of tribulation spoken about in the Holy Bible and the book of Revelation? Some folks believe that 2025 we will step into tribulation. While some folks actually believe that we stepped into that biblical time of revelation on October 9th. On October 9th, due to astrological alignments. I talked about it last week on the show. You can actually go to the website and watch the documentary. It's really good and really interesting. October9th.com. They're also on YouTube. I don't have the link. When we're live, I'll put it in the chat room, though, to watch it directly, or just go to that website. It's very, very convincing, to say the least. But due to these astrological alignments, including some say, according to this video documentary, that the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse appeared in our skies on October 9th. And basically the video overall takes not all, but takes some of the scriptures and aligns them to astrological alignments, which I have no doubt many of the scriptures are exactly that, astrological alignments. Nostradamus did the same thing. Spoke in quatrains, and many quatrains spoke of astrological alignments. Like the astrological alignment in Nostradamus' prophecy that pointed directly to New York City. And in the prophecy quatrain, he says, a new city, fire in the sky, the steel birds. Yeah, we know what happened that day on the 11th of September. Certainly predicted by Nostradamus 100%. So yesterday I recorded a Q&A session because I had you all put out questions. Please, no more questions. I have 10 pages of questions. And I did this whole great video with my new camera equipment and all, and guess what? It didn't work out. For some reason, the audio had all this distortion. So I had to retreat back to my old camera equipment, same audio, for today because I didn't want that to happen today. I'll get it worked out, and I'll do that tomorrow. So I will address the subscriber tribe questions in a video tomorrow. I'll record it in the morning, or I'll go live. I can't go live tomorrow evening. I'll record it tomorrow, though, in the morning on this camera so that there isn't no problems. But somebody asked, and that's why I brought this up today, is someone asked in the questions, are we going into tribulation? So back around, I think it was 2017, it might have even been 2018, that Spirit showed me I was doing my yearly predictions, which I only did yearly. So I didn't do like I do now until I moved out here to Arizona. Previously, I only did them once a year. It was a New Year's Day tradition. It still is a New Year's Day tradition for many, but I put out predictions every week and every month. Much different. But back in the day when I was meditating, it was probably November, December of 2017, I believe, when the Spirit showed me, that 2025 to 2032 would present the most challenging times on Earth for humanity. In turn, right after that, I went to Peru. Not long after that, I went to Peru. And when I was in Peru working with Shaman Puma, San Pedro, and ayahuasca, I mentioned this time period to Shaman Puma. And I asked him if it meant anything to him, the period of 2025 to 2032. He literally appeared to be a bit shocked that I mentioned that time window. And he replied that I am getting that same window of time for the planet and for humanity. So something's happening. Call it what you want. I did a video of Tribulation back after when I got all this information. 2025 in numerology is a 9-year. 9 is about endings, death of cycles. When you're in a 9 personal year, many things come to an end. One of my 9 years, for example, I had to put my dog down, ended a long relationship, a habit. The 9 can be very beneficial. It can help us get rid of addictions, habits, negative patterns, negative friendships, relationships, or what have you. But the 9 can be brutal too, because it'll force us into endings whether we want it or not. 2032. Now, when I was in my late teens, Spirit told me, and we used to do these meditations all the time, group ones. Spirit told me that the new earth would usher in the year 2032. And this was decades ago. Because I remember saying, how old will I be? Will I be alive then? You know, it seems so far away. Now it's right around the corner, friends. It's 8 years away. 2032 in numerology is a 7 universal vibrational month. That period of 2025 to 2032 is 7 years in all. And we also got to take into account that our calendars are a lie. Everything's a lie and deception. The true calendar is 13 months. They shortened it all up. That's why we have months that have more days than others and all that mess. So therefore, this video that says October 9th astrological alignments marks in the time of tribulation, which makes even more sense when you look at what's happening in the Middle East right now. Because the Middle East is literally the ground zero for the prophecies, especially all the prophecies of the Bible. That's why people say, oh, well, Trump's the Antichrist or Bush or Obama or what have you. Everything's set in the Middle East with those prophecies. So that's not them. And we're going to find out next year. Spirit said we'll find out in 2025. So did you all see the warning that came in from Hillary Clinton? I didn't have time to find the clip. I wish I could have found the clip. No time. But in this interview clip, she stated that something huge is coming in the month of October. And likely because her and her little witchy woo-woo friends likely use the full moon energy to cast some evil upon us all. So beware, she said, something is coming. She said it so. So no doubt, she's just confirming what we've been talking about since the beginning of the year. Late October, early November, crazy events coming into play. And what really is coming, in early November anyway, is an election meltdown, friends. That's what's coming. Major election meltdowns. And I did a whole video on that like a week ago, so go back and watch that video. If you want to know who I said is going to be president and all that, just go back and watch the video. I think it's called Election Predictions or something like that. Let's move on to power outages and 3 days of darkness. Because you'll all clearly recall in past predictions my past predictions revolved around power outages and even my visions of seeing a complete city go dark. And I also talked about grids going down, which so far, the city hasn't gone black, thank goodness, because I think it's an American city, actually. But over the past week, we did witness Cuba losing all their power. The whole country of Cuba went dark, not only once, but twice. So that did come into fruition with big power outages related to weak infrastructure. Spirit told us that. Especially when the solar flares come in, more solar flares come in, but the stronger ones come in. They're going to affect places like Cuba, Puerto Rico, if they're facing that part of the sun when the flares hit, or when the flares come rolling in, if they're facing that direction. So yeah, their grid in Cuba is very fragile. But Spirit did state that those smaller fragile systems would be the ones likely to go out in the future, and Cuba's the first good example of that. And some folks are claiming now that there's going to be 3-day outage coming in the next couple weeks before the end of October. Someone said it in the comments, asked the question, but they weren't really specific on where. Are you talking 3 days of outage for the whole planet? That would be devastating. That's not what I believe is going to happen. Now, this person, I don't know if it was a male or female in the comments, but they also could be specifically talking about the United States affecting the elections. Because we know something's coming with that. They're going to try everything in the end to slow people down from voting, especially in the swing states. So besides that, the future, when it comes to darkness, 3 days of darkness, I think it's something bigger. And I think that the whole entire planet is not going to go dark from a power outage. I honestly think it's something bigger, something that blocks out the sun for several days. And I don't believe that's coming soon. Actually, I believe it's coming in the future. For sure, I know it is. To elaborate on that, it would make most sense revolved around the Hopi's Blue Star Kachina and the Hopi's Great Purifier. Again, I did a video called The Great Purifier, which I have no doubt arrives Friday, April 13th, 2029. So if you missed that video, be sure to check it out. It's a good documentary on that. And people are always asking, where should I live? Where's the safe zone? Technically, there is no such thing as any safe zones at this point in time. Instead, you got to know that you are safe. Forget about the zone that you're in. But I did a video called Billionaire Bunkers. And in that video, I showed the different channeled maps of the future Earth. Just so happens that someone put together that in the United States, the future map of what's above water is also all the land that Bill Gates is buying farmland on. None of it's in the sunken part of the map. Interesting enough, that is. In their underground bunkers. So check that video out. It'll give you an idea of the places to live and what's really happening in the future. Both those videos, the Great Purifier and Billionaire Bunkers. Now, going back to the Blue Star Kachina prophecy, the Great Purifier, the Great Purification of the Earth begins when the Blue Star Kachina dances in our skies. Following the Blue Star Kachina will be the Red Star Kachina. And again, according to the prophecy, when that arrives, the Great Purification of the Earth begins. So as far as power outages, not global outages, Spirit says in many areas prepare for the coming cold winter months. Big time. Going back to the Blue Star Kachina, because I left this part out, the Red Star Kachina, which many believe is the planet Nibiru, the planet X in the Holy Bible. Whatever it may be, it's 10 or 20 times bigger than the Earth. So when it passes by the Earth, there's going to be a period that it blocks out the sun. That is where I believe the 3 days of darkness comes in. I don't believe it's necessarily at all power grid thing, as much as I believe that the sun itself will be blocked out. When? Likely in April, early April, sometime in April 2029, after the Blue Star Kachina comes. It doesn't state in the prophecy how long after the Red Star comes, but go to that video. There's more detail without me going into it today. It's a really good video documentary, The Great Purifier, and the one on billionaire bunkers. So as far, again, as power outages, not global outages, Spirit says that there's many areas that we must prepare for the coming cold winter months, ensuring that you have some type of backup heat and other energy sources. Because powerful winter storms are going to leave areas darkened for days. This includes outages hitting throughout Europe and here in the United States and up in Canada. Especially up in Canada, Spirits just said, from major snow systems and ice systems that take down lines and wires. And I feel that 2025 would be more relevant for major outages. Again, it's the 9 universal year vibration of 2025, which would have an effect on outages, things going out, especially during the cycles of the Mercury retrogrades next year. Speaking of which, we have a very powerful retrograde cycle coming in with the pre-shadow of that retrograde in the end of November, taking us into the intense energy shifts of December and stepping us into 2025. So expect power outages and cyber attacks in November and December. And I would expect the city going dark would occur between now and the end of the year. This city that I had visions of going dark, I believe, is in the United States and could perhaps be Chicago, New York City, or LA. There may even be a point where we see Las Vegas, Nevada going dark. Spirit just said that. So always be prepared, friends. Have backup energy. And when the energy does go out, don't panic. Just bunker down. If it's a couple days, just bunker down. As long as you have everything you need, nothing to worry about. Power will get back on eventually. Eventually. Let us move on to our next subject. Beings, we're talking about power outages, and power outages are very often caused by weather. Let's talk about the coming season of weather. Because are you aware that just recently there was snow in South Africa? They do get snow, but to witness such a wintry mix this early in the season is a bit shocking. A comment from Allison. Allison in the comment said it snowed here in South Africa over the weekend, and while we do get snow sometimes on some mountains, this was the first. People on the highway were stuck in their cars for 24 hours. And unfortunately, 2 people passed away from hypothermia. If that's not saying something. So according to that, what's that tell us for our weather? Says a lot, friends. I assure you, friends, that this coming season is going to be a huge record breaker, especially in the way of snow, ice, and terrible winter weather, topped off with extreme heat, severe floods, and fires in the southern hemisphere. Not to mention my feeling that a huge volcanic blast will mark off a very significant point in time for United States of America. Yes. So Spirit says, always tells me to look towards the animals and the creatures because they will show us the way. And I have been doing that and exactly that for a long time because I know back east we used to watch the squirrels. If they built their nests high up in the trees, the higher up, the more severe the winter. Here, our squirrels live in the ground, so I can't check that out. Or in certain trees, the leaves will turn, telling us that it's going to rain soon. So watching the animals, watching the trees, and watching all these things can really show us what's happening. And that's exactly what I've been doing here at my home and in my neighborhood, which is currently being invaded by rodents in a record amount of numbers. Not to mention that the rodent invasion here in the neighborhood began in late August. We get invasions every year. Of course, they're looking for warmth and such. I had the rats eat the whole inside of my engine 2 years ago. Now I take big precautions, and at night you got to put your hood up on your car. Put flashing lights in there and a whole bunch of other stuff. But this year, friends, the rodent invasion began in late August and early September. 4 to 6 weeks earlier than normal. Very, very much out of whack. And not only that, record amounts. Like they're all looking for better cover. So I noticed the squirrels, the chipmunks, and even the woodpeckers. They have been working diligently hoarding and storing food for the winter. So this to me is an absolute sure sign of a crazy season that's ahead. Not just for us here in Arizona, but I feel snow and ice is going to blanket a percentage of the planet come the holiday season in December. We may even, many places will see it around Thanksgiving. Many are going to have a white Christmas on Christmas, while many others are going to have still a white Christmas from previous snow that's still on the very cold grounds come Christmas Day. Expect there to be a very powerful storm, a storm to come here in the United States, but also covering Europe, Japan, and record snowfalls in China. I saw a vision this morning of vehicles stuck on a highway in a severe storm. I had in this vision, I saw people alongside their vehicles in the snow, stuck in their vehicles, attempting to light fires, off the side of the road, on the roadside to help them keep warm. And I saw food being dropped to people. And Spirit says that we're going to see several such occurrences that I just described in this coming season. So that's another good tip for everybody. Make sure you have an emergency bag in your car with water and food in case you get stuck for 24 hours or longer. Have everything you need. Even a little bucket if you need to go potty or something, if you don't want to go outside in the freezing cold snow. But no matter where you are, even in the southern hemisphere, in case there's floods or you get stuck somewhere, it's always good to make sure you have everything you need in your vehicle. Some food, some water, some emergency supplies, a little light, flashlight, and so forth. So expect there also to be, I had visions of a blizzard type of storm. And it felt like a snow hurricane. I've never seen anything like this, friends. It was wild. That's what I would call it, a snow hurricane. High winds, multiple reported tornadoes that spin off from this terrible winter storm. That's, I believe, here in the United States. And speaking of tornadoes, I feel a strong tornado system is coming to the United States in early November. Perhaps right around the elections. How convenient for the elections. Or those who don't want them to happen. And I saw a vision of paths of destruction as if there were 2 or perhaps 3 tornadoes that left behind huge paths of destruction. The state of Indiana came to my mind as well. I don't even know, do they get tornadoes there? I'm sure it doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where you are now for tornadoes. But Indiana popped in my mind. That could be where the storm hits and all these multiple tornadoes. Could be where the storm begins. So in the southern hemisphere, expect there to be record flooding hitting Brazil, parts of Peru, and throughout Australia. I see rescues taking place throughout Australia as well. Some remind me of floods that previously hit Brazil, a month or two ago. Remember all that footage I showed you? Homes completely submerged. So I feel a strong pull separately to a dam structure in Australia that begins to breach from severe flooding. And even in New Zealand, they are going to encounter a hit by 2 or 3 storms in a row that soak the soil so much, giving the water no place to go, therefore bringing about flash floods and other flooding. So prepare for extreme heat in places in the south, record-breaking temperatures and wildfires hitting Brazil, Australia, Chile, and parts of Peru. And I'm sure I'll get more information on this in the near future, and that's something I'll work on for November as a new weather video. If you missed my last weather videos, go back and check them out, because some of the events in those videos we still await to see happening in the near future. Someone asked in the questions if Mount Adams would erupt in the near future, and I feel it will not be Mount Adams that erupts in the near future. But I do take you back to my past prediction, channel prediction it was, that I feel is now on our doorsteps. And that is, I see a large volcanic eruption occurring in the United States at a state park. Perhaps just within the next month or so. December would even make sense with the energy shift in the retrograde. At the latest, I would say January, but I feel like it affects everything. And I feel like this big volcano that erupts in the United States is more of a sign than anything. And there may be 2. Because in a while back, you remember me saying I saw Mount St. Helens being one of the 2. And I feel an eruption in the United States is going to be a huge sign of something bigger in the works. I feel a great shaking that will follow this eruption. A shaking of the earth, but also a shaking of the people of America. Truth follows the eruption, according to Spirit. And Spirit said specifically, truth follows the eruption around corruption. Truth follows the eruption around corruption. And I believe this could erupt in Yellowstone National Park. Not the super volcano eruption that's going to wipe us all out. Don't worry about that. That's not happening. But a smaller one. Because I also reminds me of visions I had of lava seeping through the ground. Kind of like volcano erupting without a volcano. Like just coming out of the ground. And I've also stated in the past about lava seeping through cracks that causes wildfires. Another cause they're not going to tell you about. Instead, they'll say it was lightning or something when it's actually that. And I do feel that this volcanic activity that's coming, Yellowstone or at another national park, is going to cause wildfires. Or at least set fire to something. And Spirit says to watch the volcano and the area surrounding the volcano closely. I don't know why, but this is what Spirit said. And let us move on to UFO crash landings. What was it that appeared in the skies heading towards Washington, D.C. on October 13th? You may recall, I believe it might have been sometime last year, actually, where I encountered visions and information from Spirit that said we would witness a future crash landing of a UFO. So is this what just happened in Washington, D.C. on October 13th? Or is there more to come? Certainly there's more to come, friends. So there's lots of shady stuff revolved around this incident that happened in D.C. Along with all the police and law enforcement sitting around like they were waiting for something. Very much like what we witnessed last year at the Florida Mall incident with the Florida Mall aliens. So what are they hiding this time, friends? And was it my past prediction coming into light? I do believe it sort of is. But I feel that there's going to be better footage of an actual crash, but not just the object coming down crashing, but actually of a crash site. And many's going to claim when it happens that it's going to be AI. But it will be real, Spirit says. It will be real. Perhaps even staged by the government as a part of their very slow disclosure. So check out this clip. Barry Streep, I believe, is the person's name that did this clip. And just check it out. This is what was going on in Washington, D.C.
What was seen blazing across the United States last night just so happened to be seen in 4 different states. There are hundreds of residents in the D.C. area alone that heard and saw the same exact thing that I saw last night, but yet no local police departments have anything to say about it. And apparently whatever crashed just so happened to crash specifically around Annapolis. Apparently, rumor has it that parts of a satellite were falling across the sky overnight. I don't know how much I should believe that, especially considering how I feel about satellites and space in itself. But see, here's the thing, right? Now I'm starting to get DMs from people that are saying that there's multiple crash sites. I drove all over Washington, D.C. today just to try to find the area which I thought it might have landed at. And apparently, there were a lot of them seen overnight. And when I say a lot of them, I mean like 20 of them. I mean, I've had thousands of DMs today telling me about their own experiences of seeing these things blaze through the sky. I don't know how many people are lying because, you would think at least 1 or 2 people would have some type of video, right? But every single one of these reports are ranging from 8 p.m. the night before to 4 a.m. the morning after. So that makes me believe that there were numerous objects that fell out of the sky, which would make sense. I tagged a specific guy below because apparently he's the only one on TikTok that just so happens to have a video. Now, it's not really a video. You can just see the streak going across the sky, but that's exactly what I saw, but the object coming across the sky, leaving a streak. But there's also one that's from a woman's Ring doorbell, right, that happened at 3:20 a.m., right? And she lives in the Washington, D.C. area as well, which is exactly when I just so happened to see that object blazing across the sky. And there's another video with a guy that lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it has him talking about how he saw the object blazing across the sky, but that was around 3 a.m. And then I have a ton of people in Ohio that are saying that they saw the object blaze across the sky around midnight to 2 a.m. So I really don't know what to believe. My mind's in a spiral. I've done all the investigative work I could possibly do today. Who knows? What I do know, though, is that the people would probably be the last to know. I just know what I definitely saw, and that was one of the biggest objects I've ever seen falling from the sky.
Was it real? Was it a simulation? Was it a test? Well, Spirit says it's a little bit of all of the above. And it was definitely all the police around, keeping people away. It was a bit of a simulation type of test, but partially real at the same time. It was all wrapped up in one, Spirit says. One big old package with a bow. So yeah, they're testing the grounds and seeing what they can do and how much attention they can bring to events. So when you see the big ships, the big spaceship above the cities that I talked about in past predictions, you'll know which ones are fake and which ones are real because we're going to report on it right away. But many are going to be fake because once the real ones start showing up in our skies, which they already are, but the real galactic space people, they're going to make themselves more known. And when they make themselves more known, that's what's going to, really ruffle the feathers of the global elite. And then they're going to want to fake it because they know that they are here for good reasons and good purpose. They don't want that. They want you to be afraid of them. So over the next 4 to 7 years, we are going to begin making closer contact with true alien beings. At the same time, the global dark overlords want to pose a fake UFO invasion. I know it sounds like conspiracy, but look how many conspiracies are realities now. And the reason being, because they know the good galactic beings are coming to help us transition to the new Earth. Something that the evildoers absolutely do not want to happen. So in turn, they're going to attempt to make us fear UFOs and aliens. Spirit said not to fear the true space beings, as much as we should actually be fearing those who run our banking systems and governments, the global elite. That's what the Spirit said. And that's what we got happening. Next year is going to be a monumental year when it comes to UFOs. Now, remember on my visions, this just came to me. I had visions in the past of seeing a UFO being used in conflict. What, like lasers? A do, actually. I bet you it's a do. I'll put money on it. Lasers shooting down. That's probably part of their fake UFO invasion. But that'll be a real ship. But it won't be an alien ship. It'll be a government ship. Making people think it's an alien ship. Using their dues to set fire or what have you. When? I don't know. But I would expect probably starting next year. Another strange thing that just happened in news over the past week was Liam Payne, the One Direction dude, all of a sudden appeared unalived. Where was he? Argentina or somewhere like that? All of a sudden fell from his hotel. Many stories to his doom. We're already knowing there were drugs and such on the scene. What really happened? Some people say he was thrown out. Some people say he jumped out. Well, Spirit says it's a combination of both. And it's much more darker and sinister than you would think. It was very much connected to dark entities. According to Spirit showing me that there was a very powerful dark entity that was purposely set loose on Liam. I don't know why. Maybe because his connection to maybe the Diddy thing. I don't know. Spirit didn't tell me that. But Spirit said that that's what they do. They'll do ceremonies and they'll unleash a demon right at you. And that's what basically caused him to fall to his doom. It was a combination of running, but also being pushed off by a dark entity. I was surprised when I heard that from Spirit. I wasn't expecting that response. I was expecting something totally different, but that's what Spirit showed me. And I had a vision of being in the room watching this dark entity take him out. It was quite sad. He was screaming at it and yelling at it. I would expect that he might even have some scratches on his body, which they won't notice because he fell from this dark entity. So I want to show you one other thing too before I move on to some other specific predictions for you before we close today's show. Check out this clip from Canada. I just had to share it to you all, especially to my Canadian friends, our Canadian tribe. This is a truck advertisement, which I think is what an interesting way to advertise, but isn't that, wouldn't you think this would be a distraction? Like a cop can pull you over if you have something hanging from your rear view mirror. But if there's a truck in front of me, like I'm going to show you here, that's a bigger distraction than anything. So this truck advertisement, read it for yourself. It says, is this Yemen? Is this Syria? Is this Iraq? And then you see them all in prayer, perhaps in a mosque. And then at the end it says, no, this is Canada. Wake up, Canada. And I say to that, wake up world, not just Canada, wake up world. Something I noticed, like one of the churches that many of my friends got married in back east in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Many of my friends' baptisms. I went to funerals at this church. I did a lot at this church. And it wasn't even the church I grew up at. I grew up at St. Thomas Aquinas in Croydon, Pennsylvania. But when I went to Levittown, all my friends belonged to that church. And I was sad to find out that that church closed down. Because, you know, they have to sell stuff to pay for all those lawsuits. But what I found most disturbing is that what I discovered is that church and many other churches in the Philadelphia area that got shut down are now mosques. Interesting. There's got to be something to that. I find it very fascinating. Like the Catholics are selling out. It's interesting. Fascinating world that we're in. Let's move on to some specific predictions. Starting with a vision I had of a cruise ship with a big hole in the side. Interesting enough, I had this same vision, similar, I think back in like 2010, 2011, maybe 2012, a while back. And I remember it happened. I don't forget what happened, but it happened. I think a boom boom went off or something. Well, I'm seeing a vision of a cruise ship with a big hole in the side. And the hole's close to the water, which means soon it may actually start to sink. It's at the lower part of the ship, towards the water. And I don't know what causes this big hole in the side of this cruise ship. I don't know if it's caused by a hit by something. Something, of course, you know, a weapon of some sort, maybe. Or it actually could even be some type of an engine explosion that happens below deck, blowing out the side of the ship. That could very much likely be the case, because that's what it felt to me. Something's blowing out the side of the ship. If not that, then somebody planted an explosive. But I think it might be more engine related. I didn't feel like necessarily anybody up above were hurt or injured, any of the people on the cruise ship. But it felt like a big deal. And I think this cruise ship is cruising somewhere up near Europe, that part of the globe. So it could be related to conflict of some sort. Now, I wanted to bring up Halloween, being that my favorite time of the year is coming, when the veil between our worlds is thinner than ever, and Susie can play music for me, Susie Q, and dance with me in her kitchen. But I bring up Halloween because going back to my forecast for October, I felt like Halloween could be a big sacrificial day for the Dark Overlord Global Elite. You know, opposing some type of event like a big major pow-pow event. Or maybe even Halloween being the date where Israel really retaliates on Iran. Whatever it is, I feel like there can be major losses of life on Halloween. Just putting that out there. There might be more in my forecast for October about that. And I figured I'd mention it being Halloween's just over a week away. I see a large deck collapse, and it looks like it's dusk outside. You know, not quite dark, but not light. And there were people on this deck celebrating. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing falls. And I just hear people scream and yell. I don't know where I was. And it might even be a wedding party. But I see a big accident around a deck falling and collapsing. And I feel like it falls quite a distance. Now, I also see fire in a nightclub. And I can not only help but to feel that this fire in this nightclub is being set on purpose. Crazy person. So I'm not sure if it's related. I believe it is. But I also hear a firearm, a pow-pow in the background. And I see fire. And I smell smoke as if I can't breathe. I felt panicked. My vision was blurry. 13 gone. 13 is the number. And that's how I received it from the spirits. Next, I see an attack on a nuclear facility. And I stated in the past that I saw a huge vision of that radiation sign. We talked about it earlier, but it's still in my predictions for today. The nuclear fallout sign. So this is becoming stronger and stronger to me, and I feel that this is approaching. Not only coming in the coming weeks, if not in the coming weeks, certainly by the end of the year. December, oh December is what Spirit kept telling me. December, oh December. The snow turns red and the skies fill with fire and smoke. Well, I forgot I even wrote that. That definitely came through. I don't remember writing that. But let's say that again. December, oh December, the snow turns red, the skies fill with fire and smoke. That's got to be over in Europe, I would imagine. December is going to be, speaking of Europe, December is going to be a nightmare for Europe and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. That will be a time to watch closely, and that could be where these things with the nuclear and the radiation come into play. Even though I still feel like part of those signs is connected to Iran and Israel. I also see big problems around the borders. Like we ain't got enough problems at the damn borders already, as they just keep letting them flood into our countries, all countries, not just the United States. And it reminds me of something in the past. I did say in the past that I saw some kind of cartel wars happening at the borders. But today I was just getting problems along the borders, border conflicts. But also I saw large crowds of immigrants at borders, unable to pass through. Trying to push through, trying to bust down and break through. I don't know where I was. I think I was, again, somewhere in Europe. But this could also be United States, especially if Trump wins and steps in and he actually gets inaugurated, because he'll win. It's whether or not they let him be inaugurated. That could be part of it too. And then also I see a health issue when it comes to Barack Obama. And I believe it might be the big C. I saw a picture of Barack Obama, or saw him in a video, and it made me think, like, yeah, there's something not right with him. Well, obviously there's something not right with him. He could start by coming out of the closet, for starters. Several closets. But yeah, something with his health. And other than that, I got some mail here, and I can't open this box. There we go. And this mail today comes from Columbia, New Jersey. Columbus, I think that said, actually. Columbus, New Jersey. From my loves in New Jersey. What do we have here? My dear, beautiful friends and tribe. Oh, shoot. Money fell out. Speaking of money, $20. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I cannot read what that says. I don't have glasses. That's awful. Here, maybe you can read it. Zoom in. I can read the writing. Dear Joseph, I am so grateful for the amazing experiences I had during master classes. With you, you are totally gifted. Here is a pumpkin candle to help you celebrate the autumn. And, oh, I love autumn. Right now I gotta go look. I gotta hurry up and look. It's my favorite. Oh, God, that smells so good. And you hear me opening it. Sorry, the microphone's like right there. Look how cute that is. Oh, it smells like pumpkin spice. Oh, my Lord. You know I'll be burning that baby tonight. No, I'll be burning that today. It's driving me crazy. Andrea? Andrea. Jesus, Lord. Oh, it almost looks like my little precious. We'll put this right behind me with Mary. Oh, the other little things. Thank you, my dear Andrea. I'm very grateful. Yes, I will totally be buying that candle. Oh, I should have looked at the last name. Now I know. It is Andrea. Duh. Sorry, Andrea. I love you, girl. I didn't know you were in Columbus. I thought you were somewhere else in Jersey. Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. And then I have this one. This one comes from... It says tea warmer on it, but it doesn't say who it comes from. Oh, wait, it says it on this side. Michelle. Michelle in BC. British Columbia, baby. British Columbia. It says tea warmer, so I'm assuming that's what it is. That is what it is. And I have a tea warmer. This one's a little bigger. But hey, you can't have more. You can always have more than one. One for the office, one for the living room. Oh, look how cute. There's a little birthday greeting. Is one that aims to please. Look how cute he is. I love dogs. I miss my dog. Happy birthday, Joseph. Wishing you a fabulous birthday that is full of lots of happiness, laughter, and savory, terrific moments. Thank you for all that you do and share. You are truly inspiring. Let's party like it's hot. Best wishes, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. That was very thoughtful and very sweet. And you're all very thoughtful and very sweet. Thank you, Andrea. I love you lots. I hope you and your daughter and husband are all doing amazing. And I hope you're all doing amazing. With that said, beautiful friends, beautiful tribe, it's been an honor. If you enjoyed today's content, please show your love. Give a thumbs up on that love button so that this content can go out to others. And so more content like this can show up on your feed. And thank you for sharing this on your social media. And to all our new subscribers, welcome to the tribe, baby. You won't be disappointed. I will catch you all tomorrow for the live. Well, I don't know if I'll do it live. I might record it in the morning, actually. But I'll be answering all the questions that you put out over the past few weeks. Please, no other questions. I got 10 pages of questions to get through first. So be sure to keep an eye out for that tomorrow. And until then, remember to celebrate life and celebrate you. Be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. Remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine, baby. Let it shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.